The winner certainly has a heavy task ahead of them. Jacob Rupp, the 1 seed, 1 loss on the entire tournament. A dominating 2-0 awaits them in the semis. But we will go ahead and bring you this one out of the side. It's a game 3. So Raja Sulaiman, Seeker of the Ways, and Matter Reshapers are his creature base. Good take on the deck. It's going to be a turn 2 duress from Jacob Baugh. Now, speaking here that Raja took the sideboard game. As for duress, we see a grip of 7. We have Council of the Foundry of the Councils. Council of the Foundries. That sounds wrong. He has Council of Foundries, Founder of the Councils. He has a Plains. He has a Thought Not Seer. He has a Shambling Vent, so can't take any of those. His options, though, Silk Wrap, Secure the Wastes, and Gideon Ally of Zendikar. I mean, Silk Wrap would be, at first glance, the thing that Rally fears the most, unless his hand's slow.
That's true. The Silk Wrap is going to get a creature exiled, so you wouldn't be able to rally it back, though. Gideon is the card that threatens to win the game more than anything.
Yeah, Jacob will take the Gideon and play a second tap land. So maybe setting up a more slow game here.
Yeah, with no creatures until at least turn 3. Oh my.
Yeah, is that a Cranial Archive?
Cranial Archive. So I missed this one at first blush.
But look at, so not just, I saw the 2 Hallowed Moonlight in Raja's board. I didn't see the 2 Cranial Archives as well.
Yeah, this is one that I guess I wasn't looking for, so that's why I didn't find it. But
wow.
Shuffling that graveyard back into the deck, and just like Hallowed Moonlight, it's going to replace itself. So
I see why Raja won game 2. I'm starting to figure it out.
Yeah, this is a lot better. We have doubled up on our hate.
Second duress from Jacob Baugh takes care of Silk Wrap. He plays a 3rd land, and this is not what I normally expect out of Rally. 3 turns in, he has 2 duresses, but no lands. I mean, if I didn't see what he's about to fetch here, I'd think he was playing Esper Control.
Interesting to note that Cranial Archive is going to hate on Rally the Ancestors, not going to hate on Collected Company. So you are having a way to just remove the graveyard, which is
good.
It's really good against Rally. It's good against the first Rally and the second Rally. You can't duress it because it's already in play.
But Jacob decided to get first Forest instead of second Plains with that Evolving Wilds. And it's not like Raja plays counter spells.
Yeah, this smells a lot like a Collected Company.
Well, he does have one in hand. This is going to be your I have nothing play that no one believes from Rally, where they just play that and say go.
I guess I'll play this untapped land and do nothing.
Land. You gotta Hollywood it though, right? You gotta sit there and just go, and just let your shoulders drop and just pass the turn.
What are we trying to sell if we're looking at the island that we play, right? Like that we're deciding between a land and a tapped land? I mean, there's nothing that you're thinking about at that stage.
No, you got to sell the disappointment that you just have no plays.
I agree with you there. But
like, all I have are these Sidisi's Faithfuls and Reflector Mages. Why won't you play a creature? I guess I'll pass.
I'm just saying to do it after you play the island. Don't act like the island is a factor, because you're just playing an untapped 4th source.
It's going to be harder to sell once your opponent has a Thought Not Seer, by the way, when he gets to see your hand.
And when you cast Collected Company in response.
Collected Company in response. 6 cards. Reflector Mage is among them. Now, this is actually a fun interaction. I don't think you want to... Do you want to Reflector Mage Thought Not Seer?
So it's tough. So Thought Not Seer, when it comes into play, you're going to get to exile a card from your opponent's hand, but when it leaves the battlefield in any capacity, this is not a dies trigger, it's a leaves the battlefield trigger. So returning it to Raja's hand is going to cause Jacob to draw a card.
And then Raja gets to pick the card to exile.
So if
it's backwards.
Yes. If you already have something that you're pretty sure he's just going to take no matter what, may as well just bounce it.
So what you're saying is if Jacob Baugh had no hand, then this would just mill him for 1. He'd draw the card and just have to exile it.
Yeah.
All right.
Can it hit lands? Has to be a non-land.
Oh, okay. So that mill plan's looking worse now.
Yeah.
He'd only mill their non-lands.
And
I don't like it.
The Cranial Archive also does not play into our mill plan.
It's an exile plan. So it would be fine, right? Eldrazi exile things. They don't mill them.
It's true.
We have a Jace, an Anafenza, another Reflector Mage, and an Nantuko Husk. Great creature options actually here for Jacob Baugh. Anafenza is the one that's taken out.
It's the one that applies the most pressure.
Jace, Reflector Mage, Nantuko Husk left in Jacob Baugh's hand. Remember, he's going to get to untap with that Jace that he got off the Collected Company. You think we might see some more company?
Yeah, I mean...
Maybe more duress. A lot of good options.
Company seems better than duress here. So we have deck lists. Looking for any sweepers in Raja's sideboard. Is there anything we should be afraid of? Doesn't look like it.
He has a planar outburst in the sideboard.
Okay,
and a flaying tendrils.
There's one copy. We didn't see it earlier. Yeah, and the flaying tendrils is not nothing, but we're playing 2/3 tribal.
Yeah, we've talked about how flaying tendrils is not actually a sweeper against 4-color rally. I mean, look at this board. What does it kill? Nothing.
Yep. Now that the Jace is flipping, just nothing.
Jace flips. It loots away the Eiley that Jacob drew.
If we plus Jace, we could maybe get it on our own mill plan.
Now, keep in mind, Cranial Archive has an activation cost of shuffling the graveyard. So Jacob's going to want to flashback this Collected Company immediately while Raja does not have 2 mana up. He won't get another chance to do it. And that's exactly what he'll do. He's going to company into Grim Haruspex and Zulaport Cutthroat. And this is, I think, one of the problems with Cranial Archive. Raja dedicated a card to his graveyard hate, and it didn't hate out the graveyard.
It's very inefficient. It's easily to get hung up on the fact that it replaces itself, so it feels free.
It's a good card. The effect is good. At a certain point, you do have to care about how efficiently costed your cards are. I'm just not sure Cranial Archive at that is costed for constructed level play.
There's no such thing as a free Cranial Archive.
Right. I mean, you can't pay 4 mana for that effect. Even if it draws a card.
You're asking a lot, and it also does not play into the beatdown plan of the rally deck at all. If you're just paying 4 mana to draw a card and they're attacking you for 6, not a good position. Okay, so we see Raja casting a Thought-Knot Seer here, and players bickering.
Okay, so how that works is if you Collected Company on end step, just filling you in on this, then this is an accept. Then you can do this play, I believe.
Yeah, it has been your turn already. Goes the end step, goes to your turn. So the Reflector Mage isn't like a full turn cycle.
Until your next turn.
Right.
Okay. So because Jacob Baugh had begun a turn after that end step company, the effect wears off as soon as Jacob enters an upkeep. Basically.
Right. Really strong when you're bouncing an attacker. Less good on your opponent's turn when you're just casting it.
Okay. So he'll get to take another card. He takes the other Reflector Mage out of Baugh's hand. 4/4 waiting there, but still a powerful board for Jacob Baugh.
Nothing quite as big as a 4/4 though, so he does have some work to do.
Yeah, and you actually see this put together by Raja, right? He took the first Thought-Knot Seer, he took an Anafenza. The second one takes a Reflector Mage. He's setting up this 4/4 Thought-Knot Seer to be a trump on the board.
Yep, it's going to hold everything off, and eventually we are going to see this Cranial Archive matter, presumably.
Jace will shrink Thought-Knot Seer down to a 2/4. Here's an Eiley. Here's an Antuco Husk. 5 creatures on the board. With Grim Haruspex and Zulaport Cutthroat, we are reaching a very dangerous place. Now, Sulaiman does have Cranial Archive.
Yep. The Thought-Knot Seer cannot hold off Eiley or an Antuco Husk due to Death Touch and the ability of the Husk to pump itself. So
if you're in Raja's spot, do you feel that I almost feel like Raja is forced to leave up 2 mana for the rest of the game, because if he ever takes it down, Baugh can sweep away his whole board to Nantuko Husk, drain Raja, draw cards, draw into rally everybody, do it again, and maybe just full combo him.
And that's where we're really seeing the cost of Cranial Archive. It's not just that you have to use 2 mana when it happens.
You have
Every
to have it
turn,
up. Yeah.
Yeah, he has Secure the Waste in his hand. We're taking away 2 tokens with that.
Yeah, if Raja end step taps out for Secure the Waste, at instant speed, Jacob might kill him.
Yeah. Dying at instant speed, less than ideal.
The play is Secure the Waste for 5 from Raja.
Raja is committing to this Cranial Archive being a mulligan.
Whoa. This is big. I don't necessarily see its main phase. All right, what's the appeal for main phase here? It is an instant.
I got nothing. You're playing around it getting dispelled, I suppose.
Well, that's actually fair. Most 4-color rally decks do have dispels on the sideboard. Except that the deck lists are face up, and he does not.
So much for that.
I mean, sometimes, so to be fair, you can only actually see deck lists between games. So if Raja didn't do a specific check for dispel, he might believe there's a dispel in here.
Yeah. Kind of like how Baugh probably didn't do a specific check for Cranial Archive.
No, he has to do that one. It's not a very common card, but it's one that it's, highlighted and circled in red ink if you're a as a combo player, I know the cards. It's not very hard to figure out which cards are for me.
Yeah, that's true.
It's like, oh, Duress, that's probably coming in. I don't even know what deck I'm playing. It's probably coming in.
Yeah. Yeah, the mental shortcut I was using, I was just looking for Hollowed Moonlight, so I didn't see it. But Baugh was probably a little bit more thorough, seeing as he is playing for a lot more than I am.
And now that Raja has tapped out of the Cranial Archive mana, we're going to see what Baugh is going to do. Starts out with a copy of Liliana Heretical Healer. All the pieces to the puzzle here.
This turn is going to be great for Baugh. He's tapped too low to cast a rally on this turn, but he's already got the pieces in play to pull a bunch of life in his direction and draw a bunch of cards.
All right, so here's how it starts. Nantuko Husk will eat Reflector Mage. That means it becomes a 4/4. Baugh gets a zombie. Liliana transforms into a Planeswalker. This is where we start. Remember, he also then drains one, and Baugh draws a card. Raja loses a life. A lot of things happening here. So that's the start. One card here for Jacob. Now, with absent of fast mana, which he doesn't really have, he's not going to be able to rally Ancestors this turn.
Nor Collected Company.
But he's going to get to do, I don't know, he's going to get to do so very much here.
A lot to think about, seeing as Raja can untap and Cranial Archive, and this Husk is certainly not coming in for lethal with all those tokens hanging out.
Looks like Nantuko Husk wants to attack. Does Eiley want to join him? No, she does not. It's just Husk. This is an easy block for Raja.
Yeah.
One soldier.
Chump, thank you very much. You're not going to get more than one token out of me.
Let's see what he wants to do with Liliana. Both the plus and a minus seem reasonable here. He could bounce the Thought Knot Seer. That would kill the Liliana to do it, though. I don't know if he wants to do that.
Right.
Plus, and they'll both discard. That's not bad either. That's going to be the choice. 2 cards in hand for each of them. It is a second Eiley discarded for Baugh and a Scoured Barrens for Raja.
I like the discard there, considering that Raja is going to untap and have access to Cranial Archive. Baugh's just planning on playing some ABC Magic here, and Planeswalkers happen to be a great way to do that.
It's actually a story that I kind of want to see happen here. I want to see 11 triggers of Zulaport Cutthroat happen. You know where I'm going with this? Jacob goes to 30. Then this Eiley in play. It has another ability.
That's true. We are shy on 11 creatures.
I have never seen it activated, but this is the best shot I've seen so far.
Maybe Raja will tap out and we can exile the Cranial Archive. Eiley is able to exile permanents.
Anything, yeah, and that's how we're going to get around the graveyard hate. We're just going to...
He has another Secure the Waste. Well, we're live.
If we get... Okay, real situation. If we get a second Zulaport Cutthroat in play, this is completely reasonable.
Yes, absolutely.
With one, I don't...
Not completely reasonable to target the Cranial Archive, but completely reasonable to get Eiley online.
So Raja has a second Secure the Waste in hand. He thought about main phasing it there, and it looks like he's going to upkeep it. So
tapping off of Archive here I do not like.
Dude, it's getting more and more dangerous. He's really playing around these counter spells. That's why you'd want to upkeep it here. Now, here's some issues. Dispel only costs 1, so the idea of upkeeping a spell you don't want countered, it's technically correct. It would take Jacob off 1 mana, but one mana for Rally. Rally's not actually a very mana-tight deck. That's probably fine. I think he's acknowledged one thing, but he should have checked to see if Jacob's playing counter spells, which he isn't. And also, you're right, this Cranial Archive it's good. It's really good.
Yes.
See Jacob Baugh, also part of Team Lotus. Lotus putting 2 players into top 8, both Jacob Baugh and Andrew Tenjum.
These guys aren't messing around. This is a quite good team.
Jacob making sure he knows how Kalitas works. He'll cast it. That's the last card in his hand. And this board has just gotten real messy.
Oh, yeah.
Don't be fooled. Those tokens under in that stack, those black ones, they're actually just more of the same.
Thinking about going down to Liliana. Looks like that's what we're doing.
A Reflector Mage will bounce the Thought-Knot Seer.
Usually Liliana makes players discard cards. He's using it to draw.
Well, Raja can't cast Thought-Knot Seer next turn, right?
Right.
I wonder if Liliana will find a way to deal with that. I like this Liliana Reflector Mage combo.
Yes.
That's
This deck has so many angles.
I hadn't thought about that interaction, but that's cute. I like it.
It is.
To be fair, I think Raja's being let off the hook here for tapping out for Cranial Archive. This could be going a lot worse.
Absolutely.
I mean, if Baugh had, like, say Baugh was losing, he could have sacked the team here to hope to hit a Rally the Ancestors and Rally combo. Now, the fact that Baugh isn't doing it is a show of strength. You know, he's saying, I don't need to try to combo you out. If I just play this conservatively, I think I'm winning here as well.
I am not really sure why our Haruspex is going to war here.
Yeah, I don't know if I want that guy to die. I like cards.
I lead despite this line to becoming a trade a creature for a Vindicate. It's solid. I don't necessarily care about trading it. That is a lot of resources to invest.
Well, okay, I'm going to give you this line then. So, Baugh, first of all, Baugh is attacking with Haruspex, Eiley, and Nantuko Husk, and a zombie token into what appears to be 10 soldier tokens. If you're playing Jacob, let's say we're not even trying to combo. We're just trying to win fairly. You got to think, how can I lose to black-white control? And if your opponent has 10 tokens on the board, that's how you can lose, right? He plays a Sorin, he plays a Gideon, suddenly things are bad. If we make a very aggressive attack that just trades lots and lots of Raja's tokens off the board, can we lose anymore? I mean, Jacob has 2 Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
So just
absolutely.
trade, use Planeswalkers. Don't be a combo deck. Don't be silly. Just actually be a control deck. Just win the value war.
And we know that the only card in hand is the Thought-Knot Seer. So
Which he can't cast.
Right.
And actually, he cannot play his draw next turn either, because if he plays it, he'll lose the Thought-Knot Seer to Liliana. It's worse than that.
Yep.
Blocks are 2 soldiers on Haruspex. Looks like 1 soldier on Nantuko Husk. He doesn't want to be just finished off that way. And this is why you didn't really like the Thought-Knot Seer swing. Or sorry, the Haruspex swing is you didn't want to lose it like this.
Right. It is a promise of a lot of cards.
I do like cards. That said, he's got a lot of cards in play.
That is true.
Maybe we don't need any more. See, we don't need to be too greedy.
I could not disagree with that line of thought more.
We always need more cards.
I will draw cards until I die from drawing cards.
Enter the Infinite, best Magic card printed. Draw them all. Draw your whole deck. Grim Haruspex. It goes down. That's a drain of 1 off of Zulaport Cutthroat. So 3 soldiers died. 4 damage was dealt. Raja goes to 12. Jace will -1 and target a soldier.
Show that soldier who's boss.
Wrote Jacob, passing the turn. I believe, yeah. That guy's been shrunk. Back to Raja. That 2, showing it as -2, -0 from the Jace.
The top deck looks suspiciously like a second Thought-Knot Seer. I'm not 100% on that.
I mean,
it's
okay. It's because Jacob Reflector Mage is the other one, right?
Yeah. Yeah, this is a game that can track that.
That's how that works. You can just play the other Thought-Knot Seer. Oh.
You have to grab a Sharpie.
All of them with the same name.
You're supposed to grab a Sharpie and mark the card that was actually bounced so that you can confirm it when they try to recast it.
You just write number 2 after the one you top decked. You're like, no, I'm playing Thought-Knot Seer number 2. He's different.
No, this one is in Russian. The first one was in English.
So if you bounce with Reflector Mage, my Sword Brothers Yamazaki, and then I draw Axe Brothers Yamazaki, can I play it?
I'm going to say no.
I have to get a judge on that one. I don't know. They're different cards. They have a parenthesis 1. They're 2 different ones in Gather, you know.
Doesn't your argument apply to reprints as well?
It might. It might. You have a good point. So with no plays, Raja just playing on the board. But his board actually has a fair number of plays. So he has He has Foundry of the Councils, he has Shambling Vent, and he has Cranial Archive. Actually, 2 Shambling Vents. Only 7 mana, so not enough to activate both.
We do have the mana for activating a vent and leaving up Cranial Archive. The attack with the vent is just a way to get Stone Rain by Kalidas here.
The interesting part about this game is that Jacob does not have to be a combo deck. If we just play some magic that's on the board, some creatures, some trading, nothing fancy, I think Jacob ends up ahead. He's got 2 Planeswalkers that Raja can't kill.
A card that we see on some sideboards is 1 copy of Minister of Pain. It doesn't look like Jacob has that. That would be a huge breaker here.
Yeah, Minister of Pain, a popular one with the Eric Hawkins, Matthew Tickle build. I think they've had that one since SCG Chicago of last year.
I remember the first time that Tickle played this deck, it was brand new. And I was talking to him, he lost in the top 8 or the top wherever he lost. And he said, I should have had a Minister of Pain in my deck. I was like, is that what you're beating yourself up over? I think that that one's pretty deep. It's not too bad the top 8 and figure that out on week 2.
Now he's going to Netcaster Spider. Look at just
not gonna get fooled again and missing those obscure sideboard cards.
There's just so many 2/3s, so little time. Minister of Pain, he is a 2/3.
Fits our theme.
Fits our deck theme. Speaking of 2/3s, here's Catacomb Sifter, the Eldrazi drone. It's the last piece of the puzzle. We now have Husk, Cutthroat, Catacomb Sifter.
We got them all.
We got them all.
Whole family is here.
Both Planeswalkers flipped.
Discarding Thought-Knot's here. Surprising.
Yeah, I don't know if we had a choice on that one. Jacob, playing Liliana fairly, where you play the last card in your hand and then activate her. Sorry, I wanted to discard, but I just couldn't.
That's the thing about symmetrical effects in Magic.
They're always symmetrical? Is that what you were about to say?
That is close to what I was going to say. Substitute always for never and we're there.
Smokestack, Tangle Wire. There's a great history of really fair symmetrical cards in Magic.
Balance.
The
card.
Yep. We both have to sacrifice down to the same number of things. That seems great.
Probably the most aptly named card in Magic history.
Windfall. Another, all these very fair cards.
Yep, Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, we both get 7 cards. This is great. Flame Rift.
Yeah, perfectly symmetrical.
So here's a large swing by Jacob Baugh. It's going to be both Nantuko Husk and Kalidas, Reflector Mage, Eiley, Zombie Token. Raja will fire up Shambling Vent to get ready to block. And I like Baugh's play. He's just trying to whittle down these soldiers. He wants the more creatures he gets off the board, the less likely Raja can come back.
Yeah, Baugh's not trying to get fancy here. We saw him trade away his horror specs. He's not trying to draw a bunch of cards and find something clever. He's just going to attack you till you die.
I mean, he certainly could, right? He could sacrifice his team, scry a million times, get that rally on top, draw it, cast the rally everybody, go again.
He's adopting the mantra of why bother, and I like it. He's ahead already.
He's got 2 Planeswalkers that Raja is nowhere near answering. He's got the only mythic rare on the board in Kalidas. This is great.
He has 3 mythic rares, thank you.
Yeah, well, we already mentioned the Planeswalkers.
But he has the only mythic rares on the board.
Did the flipped versions still count as mythic rares, or does only the front side have a rarity?
I believe that the flipped version occurs in packs just as often as the front side. There's the back side with their expansion symbol.
Okay. This is a tech. All right.
If you only opened the back side of a Planeswalker in a booster pack, you should find out what you can get for that.
It's probably even more mythic. All right, so here are blocks for Raja. Chump blocking Eiley, chump blocking Reflector Mage, chump blocking Nantuko Husk.
And here we see Kalidas using what I like to refer to as a flavor text ability, sacrificing a zombie to get 2+1/+1 counters. Very seldom used.
Raja quad blocked the Kalidas, and I don't think he accounted for that ability.
Didn't read the flavor text.
I love it when that happens. No one. Why would you read that ability? Who does that?
This is the +1/+1 and lifelink your team on Jeskai Charm. This is the Pyroclasm on Jund Charm. Just the mode that nobody ever uses.
No one ever cares about. Azorius Charm. There's one that we never use the 3rd ability on. Not never, but
your team gets lifelink?
That one. That's the one. That's not normally what I would do with that card.
No.
And a huge play there. So all the soldiers get eaten by Kalitas. Jacob goes up to 20. No creatures left in play for Raja.
That Cranial Archive's looking a little bit sadder every turn.
Jacob never used the graveyard. He did once to flashback Collected Company.
At this point, don't you just cycle that archive on end
Yes,
step?
I mean, the question is, maybe you don't. Okay, so to win, I think you have to top deck your one of Planar Outburst this turn. So maybe you don't, because what you need to have happen is you need to top deck Planar Outburst and immediately archive both players.
That's fair. Yeah, now that he's seen that his draw step was not going to be the outburst, cycles it now.
And even if he does that, I think Raja is a huge underdog in the game, but
There's still the 2 Planeswalkers.
yeah, you need to think wishfully. And at that point, Raja will extend the hand. So it's Jacob, Baugh, and 4-color Rally. Team Lotus sending one into the semis, where he will face Jacob Rupp next round.
So maybe I wasn't too far off when I just ignored the existence of Cranial Archive there. It was basically Raja's plan as well.
It did not. It didn't do, I think, what he wanted him to do. The biggest moment for it, I mean, it could have been good, but Baugh was able to play around it. I think it's because of that activated ability. The turn where Baugh had a Jason play, and end-step Collected Company, untapped, flip Jason, Collected Company again. The Cranial Archive is there to stop that from happening. But the problem is that you can't hold, you know, this was turn 5 with Jacob on the play where he played the second Company. If you're going to play Cranial Archive, you need to be committed to holding up 2 mana from turn 4 onward. I don't know that a deck can really do that in Standard. That's
Much less